not here, so we're just gonna swing for the fence. All right. I don't know what in the world this thing is doing, but anyway, there we go. All right, cool. Let's give it up for the worship team again. So grateful to have high-quality worship by people that really love God and can help usher us in. So grateful for the team that we have in place, grateful for the staff that we have in place, and honestly just really glad to have this meeting on Friday night where we can, come and really, heal, rediscover probably for a lot of you who God is. How does He feel about you in this season of your life? I mean, that's why we're here. Friday nights, Recovery Church, whatever you want to call it. I was very intentional about picking the name Recovery Church, but then there's also parts of it that I don't like. But I know that whenever we come out of what we come out of, most of us feel like we shouldn't be in church. We're not allowed to be in church. Church is for judgmental people that don't like people like us, and that is why I named it that, so that really, in hopes that it would condition you or really kind of redefine what it is. I mean, there's so much as we come out of active addiction that we need to redefine. I mean, for a friend, right? I mean, whenever I think about a friend in active addiction, I want somebody that's got my back no matter what, doesn't matter what I'm doing. I don't want them to call me out on anything. If I'm, cussing somebody out or punching somebody in the mouth, I need them to say that was a great idea, they deserved it, and I want them to have my back in it, right? And then now, there's good to have people that do have your back, but I want somebody in my life now to say, hey, Trey, you need to check that. Like, however you're acting right now. I had somebody that called me today from Mississippi and is a dear friend of mine and has a whole lot more clean time than me and is going to show up in my life consistently to, knowing what I'm going through in my life. And I need somebody to, hey, you've got a lot on the line. You've got 6 kids that are watching you. You have a company. You need to make sure that, that you're setting yourself up, to not make some mistakes that would be massive setbacks, right? And so the way that we defined friend and what we need in our lives is not somebody that's going to sign off on every crazy idea that we have. We want somebody to call us higher. We want somebody to, to be there, for us and to show up. And a lot of you right now, the ones that are going to get up here tonight, you're going to, typically these graduation speeches that will be pre-recorded will be very similar, right? You're going to think me, you're going to think Jeff, you're going to think, the ops staff, whoever it might be. But you're also when I used to give people the microphone, right, before we got so big that the graduation speeches were lasting longer than the entire event, that normally the clients that they would think, or the staff, or some of the tech staff or whatever it might be, that they would be thankful for would be the people that would be the roughest on them, the ones that would really, I've got a very good BS detector, right? I mean, I can sit in front of somebody in about 2 seconds, like, if you come into my office trying to, sell me some garbage, I am going to call that out, and it is going to be one of the most uncomfortable meetings that you have probably ever been in your entire life, okay? I don't like it. I don't like to sit through it. I mean, I know CP2 laughing. He's probably been through a couple of those, and we don't do that, right? I want to call you higher. I want to make sure that whenever you do show up, that you understand, hey, there is a standard. I mean, I'll just tell you, for example, one time I had a guy that was a great house manager. He was a good house manager. He did a good job, and he had just gone on vacation. I'd sent him out for, he'd gone on vacation for a week. He came back, and he left his entire team in a bind because he wanted to go get baptized at this place, at this North Georgia revival, okay? I want you guys to be up there at that, but at the same time, he left his team high and dry. He manipulated to be able to go to something that should have been a very powerful event. I'm sure it was a great event. I'm sure God was at that event. I'm sure God probably spoke to him at that event, but the way that he did it, he left his team high and dry, and medication medication management or observation was a nightmare that night. And so in turn, we held him accountable to that. He didn't like that. So he cussed everybody out, gave my chief operating officer at the time the double birds, and, and he got lit up, and that was his last day of employment at Good Landing, okay? So it's just you have ultimately hired us to show you the way out of active addiction, save your life, whatever it is. And so in turn, and that's really what we're going to talk about tonight, is the recipe to be able to level up in life. And so I will go ahead and just kind of finish this intro. So if you guys don't know who I am, my name is Trey. I started Good Landing about 8.5 years ago, and we have seen tremendous growth and tremendous success, okay? It is my honor to be able to serve you, even on Friday nights, as we put this in place intentionally to be able to set you up as you go into the weekend. We want to bring our very best and to be able to bring a great experience to you so that you are set up to win and to make it through the weekend. I mean, right now, for a lot of you, it's touch and go. I mean, I don't, all of the different emotions and, everything that you experience, especially in like your first 30 to 60 days, can be all over the place, okay? When you come in, we take your phone, okay? We don't take your phone because you're in trouble. I know, like, why aren't you taking my phone? It's my lifeline, and and all the 18 million reasons, because you are very likely to make a dumb choice in your first 30 days if I have your phone, okay? And some of y'all like opioids, and some of y'all like fentanyl, okay? And I don't want your little stupid, dealers showing up, dropping some fentanyl off, and killing people inside of my program, and so therefore, I take your phone, right? Again, you have hired me and this team to save your life. Like, let us do our job, okay? That's why we do it. And if you ever want to see, like, real time, like I had a guy one time that probably brought in 3 cell phones, and so he had snuck a cell phone in. Well, I'm connected with him on social media, and one minute he's posting a picture, he's in group, and he loves God, and the next day, F this, I'm about to burn it down, I can't deal with this, screw my dad, it's just this right here is coming out, and that's what you're going through right now. A lot of you are, one minute, man, I want to love God, and I want to do this thing, and I want to really walk this out, and the next minute, man, I don't care, I'm going to burn it down, whatever it might be, and we want to protect you from you. Okay, if you could have done it, then you would have done it out there. And so let us put the structure in place, if you will, that's really not that difficult if you'll just surrender and submit to this process that is tried and true that saves people's lives. That's all we want to do. You're not in trouble because you're an addict, but you have lost your way, and you do have tendencies that are very self-destructive. And so we put infrastructure in place and rules in place and policies in place to be able to set you up for success. And I know you don't like them. Nobody likes structure. I don't like the speed limit, but I also don't like getting tickets, I like to keep my driver's license, I don't like the fact that, you can't, go up and fight everybody that you don't like. But I also like to be free, okay? I like to be free. I don't like, aggravated battery charges and, whether it be misdemeanor or felony or whatever it might be. That we're a nation of laws and regulations and all that kind of stuff, right? And so therefore, if you want to have a life that you are proud of and you don't like being locked up, and I don't care how much you can sit around here and posture, with your freaking prison tattoos and act like, dude, getting locked up sucks, okay? And the life that drives that, you need to develop and cultivate a perfect hatred for it. Man, like, if I need to turn it on and to, demonstrate to somebody that I've been there, done that, then I can do that, right? But I don't like that. I'm not in love with that life anymore. That life is what brought shame to my life. It is what brought failure to my life. It is what brought the times that I was incarcerated up that I did not like. I mean, as human beings, we are not made to be locked up. I mean, we might end up having some good times in there. We might, meet some cool people while we're in there or whatever it is. But anybody that says that they like being locked up, like, I worry about you. And you're probably in the wrong facility. You should probably be in a mental health facility, And what I'm trying to help you, is you walk out of that darkness, I wouldn't keep flirting with it. Dude, some of the funniest, coolest people that I know are the people that I used to get high with. I mean, we got 20 years of history. We know all the back roads. We know all the spots. We got all the stories. Dude, I don't call them and process life with them. If they call me and say, I want to know how to get out of that, then yes, you can come over here and you can come to Good Landing. But the second you try to relate to me as Trey from 15 years ago is the day you're going to be in a Greyhound bus going back to Clarksdale, back to the meth trailer. Because that's not who I am anymore. So if you want to operate up here with me, then we'll operate up here. But if you want to try to pull me back down and can't understand, why, he thinks he's better than me. No, I don't. No, I don't. But I don't act like that anymore. And if you're going to try to connect with me at that level, then there's no relationship there. Do you see what I'm saying? What you got to understand is like, dude, I love the life. If you're in this room, your flesh loves that life, okay? People have bends, okay? I've got, my grandmother was not a meth addict, okay? If my grandmother saw some lithium strips and some Sudafed laying on the table, she would wonder what's going on, She would take Sudafed if she had a cold. You know what I'm saying? She would not understand what in the world was that those were precursors to, manufacturing or whatever. But I'm sure she had her own bent. I'm sure she had her own things that she struggled with. But this is what we struggle with. And so if you want a way out of this, you better start hating the life that brought you in here. Like, I wouldn't flip-flop, one minute, like, I want to, act like I'm a freaking gangbanger, and then the next minute knowing, like, I don't like the life that brought. You gotta pick a team, man. Like, at some point, you gotta pick a team. I'm not telling you that you need to, that you can be grateful for the life that brought you here, but the longer that you stay in love with those streets and that street mentality and the jokes and the whatever it was that keeps you in that identity, then the longer that you're going to be, or the more susceptible you're going to be to falling into it. When I see somebody that's so in love with that stuff and I get around them and they think, man, like, we're so big on, only drug addicts can help. Man, I want you to get to a spot where this is where I'm at. I would rather have a little old lady that's 80 years old that doesn't know a bag of meth from this cell phone, that has the authority of God in her life and that manifests that, than I ever care if I talk to, another knucklehead that can relate about staying up for a week. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, maybe you need that. And that's why I do share the story that, hey, this was my life and I've made it out. But what you need is somebody with the authority of God on their life to show you how to live that way. Does that make sense? And honestly, like, we get in some of this stuff of, like, these therapists and, they don't really understand. You don't have to have a broken arm to treat a broken arm. Do you understand that? You can understand the principles and the way out and understand it in a way that somebody that's never done dope can show you the way out. So anyway, I'm just going to show you this out of Scripture. And I find this, I find this story fascinating. It's a guy, I'll just read you part of it. Now Naaman, commander of the army of the king of Syria. So this was a ultimately a general named Naaman that was an honorable man and is mashed, but because by him the Lord had given victory to Syria. He was also a mighty man of valor, but a leper. Okay, so if you understand leprosy, like leprosy is not an issue. It's a non-issue in the United States. Like $100 will go buy the medicine that will cure leprosy. Nobody gets leprosy, okay? It's still a problem over in places like India. They have leper colonies, and it's very sad to see. And it'll start off as like a little spot. It's not really a big deal, and then it will spread until body parts are falling off. Nose fall off, fingers fall off. I mean, it will literally destroy you. But back then, you know, 4,000 years ago, they didn't have modern medicine, and when somebody would get leprosy, that was it, because it was contagious. And so he would literally, like, you have to think about, this guy was a commander, highly decorated war hero, okay, that had conquered Israel and conquered different parts of the Middle East, and he had his I mean, you can just imagine when a military, I mean, even, you're a captain, major, right here, on the front row. Like, if he comes in wearing all of his stuff, you know, in his dress uniform, I mean, it's an unbelievable thing to see. My friend here is a commissioned officer. It is an awesome thing to see. The brass on the shoulder, I mean, the respect that all of that carries. And so this guy, Naaman, had all of that, but then he's got this thing that he doesn't want anybody to know about. He's got leprosy. That's a career ender. I mean, he's balling. I mean, he shows up, and all the women are like, oh, my God, you know, there's this war hero that everybody else is walking, and he's showing up in horses. You know, the guys are looking on of just like, gosh, man, like, I wish, you know, or just saluting and giving him all of the respect of this conquering war hero, except he's got this condition that he doesn't want anybody to know about. And here is what happens. A condition like that will drive desperation. And all of us in this room should be desperate, because you have a condition, no matter how you got it, whether it was a genetic predisposition, whether it was a learned behavior, or you really did hang out with the wrong people until you became one of the wrong people, or you were self-medicating an anxiety disorder or a mental health disorder or whatever it was. We all now have a condition that will kill you unless you deal with it. It will kill you, and it will destroy you in your dreams and any of your hopes. And there should not be a more desperate group of people than the group of people that is underneath this roof right now. Do you understand that? You have a condition that is going to kill you. It is going to prematurely destroy your life. You know, back in the day when some of those old school AA, which I appreciate so much, and that old school treatment was, oh, you're not serious yet. Oh, you still want to play this game, then how about you go back out and get a little more experience? Well, they weren't dealing with fentanyl. And that used to be a really good way to get somebody to be beaten into a state of reasonableness. You know, it's like, oh, you still think you got it, big dog? You still think that even though a couple of days ago you walked in here with your eyes this stinking big and you had lost 30 pounds and your hands shook and you were running from stuff that wasn't really there, and now you've got 3 days of sleep and you feel like you're Superman again and you got life by the tail? How about you go back out there to that meth trailer and get beat into a state of reasonableness, and maybe the next time that you show up, you know, or some of you alcoholics, you know, so I get on alcoholics so bad. And the reason that I want you to understand that I do that is because of it's the mindset. It's the mindset, and it's really the mindset of anybody. We all deal with a disease that tells us that we don't have a disease. That's why your mental health benefits pay for it, okay? But, you know, we get into these places of, you know, we'll show up in a place of humility, and you have to fight for humility. You know, people are like, when did you hit your rock bottom? Do you realize, like, what a relative, like, abstract term that is? Rock bottom is whenever you finally decide to put the shovel down. I mean, I can hit a rock bottom tonight, and a week from now, be as prideful as I ever was. Turn on the wrong music, process with the wrong friends, and I'm so far away from my bottom, like, it's not even funny. That's just like you got to hit rock bottom. Your rock bottom can be the first time that you cuss your parents out for trying to help you. You know, the first time that you say something sideways to one of your kids because you just had 3 bottles of wine. You know, and then for some of you, you know, you're a little more hard-headed and you went to prison 15 times, great. But the unmanageability and the pain tolerance for that and the willingness to not continue to burn it down is all relative. You don't ever have to go to prison again. You don't ever have to do something that is embarrassing or shameful again because of alcohol and drugs. When you finally decide by the act of, like, I wish that every morning that I woke up, man, my favorite worship song would hit and I would cry and I would be like, oh God, you've delivered me. It has been, thank you, you know, and I'm just overwhelmed with all of the emotions that's going to drive change, but that's not how it works. I mean, I don't remember hardly the last time that I've been moved like that. And it doesn't mean that, you know, that I'm not able to make the right mistakes, because inspiration is great. I'm a very inspirational speaker, but guess what? You're not going to have me every morning of your life up on a stage, you know what I'm saying, motivating you into change. Like, you've got to leave here and in the mundane and in the boredom, make the right decisions. I want you to be inspired. I want to be here to take the blinders off, to show you about a life that you didn't even realize that was possible. But at the same time, I need you to love the process and to understand how important that it is that you make the boring decision to get up every single morning and to spend time with God and to get in your word and to take the time to reset spiritually, whether you feel it or you don't. That's the game changer. Do I want you to come up here at the end of the service and pray? That's part of the process too. But what I would rather you do, for some of you, it would be pulling up your iPhone or your Android or whatever you have and deleting the drug dealer, deleting that toxic hookup, you know, that is going to ruin your life. Like, that little decision right there will pay more dividends in your life when you get serious about that than for you to come up here and do all this and all that stuff is great. I do every bit of that stuff, but I also want you to know, more than the charismatic experience, that it's those decisions like that that are the big wins of, like, I'm eliminating this person from my life. That's what's going to change your life, right? And we don't like that stuff. We don't like that because we're comfortable in that. That's comfortable. That's what we know. That's the girl that always goes back to the abusive relationship. You're like, dude, what is she doing? I literally just saw her a week ago with 2 black eyes. And yet she's back over in Billy Bob's house, back over there, back in love, and dropped the charges. Why? Because that's what's comfortable, and that's what she knows. And that's powerful. Comfort and familiarity is very powerful. The devil that you do know versus the devil you don't know. It is powerful. All of this is new. All of this, I don't know what's going to happen. And it's unfamiliar, and it's scary, and it's all those things. But hopefully that you realize that drugs and alcohol beat your tail, embarrass you. Nobody embarrasses you worse than the drugs and alcohol, or that you embarrassed yourself, or whatever you want to say. None of y'all, man, I mean, I just want you to think about, like, nobody likes getting their butt beat, right? Especially us guys over here. I'm sure y'all don't like it either. We don't like that, right? Nobody likes that. I am talking about, like, alcohol and drugs, like, beat your tail and then went Facebook Live and gave you a wedgie. I mean, it wasn't even a close fight. I'm talking embarrassed you, you know? I mean, it's just, I mean, think about your freaking highlight reel out there. Thank God they did not have, like, in my heyday, like, there wasn't, you know, you couldn't go Facebook Live. Praise God. Dude, just can't even imagine what I would have done if all that stuff would have been there. And so now, you have to look at it for what it really is. I mean, was there a moment when you were balling? Probably, maybe. is probably more in your head, than you really were. But some of you were legitimately, you sold dope, you had the women, you had the, you had the pie, there were some real come-ups in here in the scene until it got a hold of you and destroyed your life. And you ain't going back to those days. Most of you are living in fantasy world and there never even was a come-up. Like you just were not even aware of how stupid that you actually looked, even during your glory days, I probably fall into that category. And yet we still go back because it was comfortable. And there were some legitimate friendships or relationships that were in there, but you have got to get willing to break ties with that. It embarrasses you, it destroys you, and honestly, making it to treatment, this is about the best that it ends ever. This is way better than jail. This is way better than prison. This is way better than, a mental health hold or whatever. And so, this is honestly the best way that it culminates into bringing you to treatment to give you another shot. And so you have this choice by an act of your will on what you're going to do, right? So let's learn a little bit more about Naaman. So Naaman has taken this girl captive from Israel. He's ultimately got a slave, and the slave finds out that he has leprosy and says there is a prophet in Israel, and if he could get to him, then he could heal him. Well, when you don't have, whatever it takes to cure leprosy, and you're not going down to the local hospital, and you're not getting ready to go talk to the infectious disease doctor, and there's none of that, and there's no chat to be able to figure out how you're going to, whatever it might be. He has none of that, and he hears about a prophet over in Israel, and he is like, dude, this is my last chance. This is my only chance. This is the only thing I've heard. And so I am getting ready to, and what some scholars think that he pulled together about something that was about the sum of $1 million, who knows, but a lot of money. And he calls the king of Israel and says, I'm coming. The king of Israel's tearing his clothes, because that's what they did back then. And he's freaking out of why is this general coming over to Israel? Maybe this is some kind of setup. Elijah's predecessor, or successor, is a guy by the name of Elisha, who is a prophet, hears about it and says, hey, I know he's coming, send him to my house so that he knows that there is a God and that there is a prophet in Israel. And so they come. So Elisha, somebody that doesn't see by faith, right? If a lot of y'all showed up to a lot of places, they would freak out, okay? They would be like, oh man, what's he doing here? They're about to steal something or whatever. I want every one of y'all and your buddies and everybody that you got high with, I see through eyes of faith. I know what's going to happen when you get in these doors. I know that you're going to meet God. I know that you're going to be encountered. I know that you're going to be presented with real opportunity to change. I want every stinking one of you, all of you, every one of you, because I know what happened in my life. And I know if God can do it in my life, he can do it in your life as well, right? And I trust the team that we have in place. I trust the infrastructure. And I don't care what you say. You ain't getting it served up to you any better than you're going to get it served up to you tonight. Okay? I've been in these treatment centers. I know those stinking snooze fests. It's not about me. It is about what I believe and what I've seen time and time and time again. So Elisha sees through the eyes of faith. The king sees through the eyes of fear. Elisha sees through the eyes of faith. Send that joker over here. And so this guy comes in with his entourage. He pulls up to Elisha's house. Elisha doesn't even get up. Elisha just sends the messenger to the door and says, go dip in the Jordan River 7 times. And so Naaman, you would think, this is awesome. The guy spoke. Naaman gets enraged. He doesn't like the fact that Elisha doesn't get up. He doesn't like the fact that he said, go dip in the Jordan River. He said, man, we got better rivers over in Syria. It's like somebody telling you that you're from, Lake Tahoe, and somebody says, go dip in the Chattahoochee, and you're like, bro, I ain't getting that nasty thing. Why can't I go dip in Lake Tahoe with that crystal clear blue water? That's what I want. Can you believe this? This guy's ate up with leprosy. He goes to the man of God. He gives him the formula, and he doesn't like it. Remind you of anybody? remind you of anybody finding yourself in the narrative here as we talk about the parallels of drug addiction. You've got something that needs to be cured. I know the way out. I am handing you the way out on a silver platter. Here is how you beat this thing. And I got 12 years of continuous sobriety to show you how to beat it. And I'm giving you a tried and true plan on how to beat it, but yet you don't like it. You have hired me to save your life. And when you want to go on a path with your stinking girlfriend that's still doing fit, and we tell you no, what? This is, this is what y'all do. Like, bro, this is what you have hired us. Do you understand that? You are paying for this. I'm not part of the criminal justice system. I just bought a t-shirt that says, not a cop. I can't wait to wear it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a cop, bro. I ain't a cop. I don't work for them. I do anything and everything that I can to keep you out getting locked up. Anything I can do to make sure that you don't end up there and that you get well here. Am I grateful for the criminal justice system? Yeah, absolutely I am. It's a great deterrent. I don't even know if I'd be sober now if it didn't exist. But the reality is that it does exist, but I don't want you to go there. I want to do everything that I can to make sure that you're in compliance with your probation officer, whatever it is, right? But at the end of the day, this is the deal, man. He gave him a formula to get well, and his pride and his ego and his expectations of what he thinks it ought to look like. Dude, I get it, man. Why has it got to take 90 days? Why I got to be here 90 days? I can make money. I am an able-bodied man that can go up and put out. I can work all day long. Why I got to be here for 90 days when I should be fill in the blank? You sober. I got kids at home. I got kids. I'm like, bro, you've been there 10 years. Like, man, let's get well. What your kids need is for you to get well. How come you can't just give me the Suboxone and a pat on the back? That's what I want. Give me the shot. Just give me the medicine. I heard retatrutide fixes alcoholism. Give me the shot. What? I wish it worked like that. I promise you. I'd sell the freaking shot. You know what I'm saying? We'd sell the shot, we'd sell the subs, and send you on your way. I get my Friday nights back. Do you understand? It is learning a new way to fight, okay? I just got to do the Rocky podcast for Blockbuster Recovery. It'll come out soon. Okay. You can, if somebody in this room has never fought before, like you have never, taken a boxing lesson or anything like that, there are ultimately, for the sake of this presentation, there are 6 punches in boxing. It's a jab, a cross, a left and right hook, left and right uppercut. And you can fundamentally show somebody how to throw those in 30 seconds. 60 seconds if you're slow. Do you think that person is ready for the cage after that 60-second lesson? You show them in there. it's just real simple, right? You kind of got it anyway. You're going to throw a jab. You're going to bring it back to your face, right? You're going to throw the right cross like Eazy-E, knock that old joker out. Sorry, well, 80s rap, right? You're going to throw a 3 and a 4 and a 5 and a 6. Let's go. Cage. That's right. Everybody likes to get hit until they get hit back, right? Everybody got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Mike Tyson said that. And the reality is you're not ready. You can fundamentally and intellectually assent to everything that I'm saying up here, but until you learn how to apply it in your life day in and day out and learn the coping skills, that's why a pill doesn't fix it. That's why a little shot doesn't fix it. That's why retatrutide ain't the cure for alcoholism. Okay? I'm all good with supplemental medications. I'm all good with anything and innovation and everything like that. But the reality is that's why that stuff doesn't work by itself. And if you want to be transformed, you've got to be transformed. You have to go through a process. The same reason that when somebody goes into basic training in the military is a civilian. I don't care if you've been killing deer since you were 3 years old. You can kill a deer in a full sprint at 500 yards with a 308. It does not matter. The truth is, if you want to be transformed from a civilian into a member of the greatest military that has ever set foot on planet Earth, then it's going to be a minimum of 8 weeks to 90 days. And then you'll go through continual training the entire time that you're in there. So why do you think that going from a drug addict that has been burning your life down consistently long enough to land you in treatment, that a shot or a pill and a, don't get high speech one time is going to be enough for you to walk away from it? Do you understand? That's why you're here. That's why you got to fall in love with the process. Everybody loves to see Steph Curry get 40 points. Everybody loves to see him shoot from the lights out, pulling up from anywhere. Wemby pulling up from timeline the other night to beat those jokers and double overtime. I mean, we love to see that. But every time that Steph Curry goes out, arguably one of the greatest, if not the greatest basketball shooter, long-range shooter of all times, you think he comes out and starts from the timeline and sits? Anybody ever see where he starts? Right under the stinking basket like a 4-year-old. Like a 4-year-old, and shoots and hits and step back and step back and step back and step back. You'd be like, dude, why is the greatest shooter of all time going and standing under the basketball like my 6-year-old? Fundamentals. You fall in love with the process. Why do you think that you're going to skip this process that all of us had to go through and go back out there and win at life? You got to fall in love with the process. You got to fall in love with the fundamentals. You got to fall in love with the systems that breed that. That's how the thing works, man. You got to rebuild the infrastructure of your life. You have to rebuild the systems. That's how anything scales. How do you think Good Landing went from one client back in 2017 to where we're at 500 just a few weeks ago? And that everybody was getting into, do you see what I'm saying? It was systems that did that. And we had to figure out, man, in the same systems that took me to 1 are not the same systems that took me to 350. You have to look at that and figure out, man, how are we going to scale? You got to make sure that you stay in the game right now. Yeah, I know that you have things that you got to do, but you need to be hyper-focused on beating addiction. There's a million things that'll try to come in there. But guess what? If you don't get this right, you don't get anything else right. You're going to be right back in here. You've got to figure out how to beat this so that you can stay in the game. You have to fall in love with this process right here. It's a play. It's running a play that's going to create opportunity. I'm going to figure out, man, I got to eliminate the people that are helping drive the bad behavior in my life. Look, man, I got over 12 years clean. You know what I love? Getting high, okay? I love the whole thing. If I'm not careful, I love running from the police. I like being the bad guy. You don't even know how much I love it. Love it. Still love it to this day. Know what I'm susceptible to, and so therefore I have got to stay away from that. I don't want to operate in the gray on that. I understand that about me, and you better understand that about you. You ain't, as much as I love my grandmother and love my grandfather and kind of have them, sort of just in a way, just kind of memorialized in my mind as these amazing people, that's not what I struggle with. They don't have the bend that I do to love this life that destroys me. It's bizarre. I don't know why, but it ain't right. It's a disorder. I don't even know. Like any normal person would be like, it's like some of y'all are being like, I want to try to drink it. Why? Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to flirt with that slippery slope that would, even if you were the 1 out of 50 million that could do it, like, do you understand how wild that is? Anyway, okay, so long story short, we're going to land. Naaman has a servant, has a buddy there that says, hey, hold up, angry man that just came over here with $1 million liquid to be able to give Elisha. How about you hold up for a second, big dog, chill out on the anger. if he would ask you to do something great, you know, I mean, wouldn't it be awesome, you know, if we just paraded up there, we had addiction and we paraded up there and they gave us a shot and everybody was there clapping for us whenever I mean, what? No. He said if he would have asked you to do something great, he's like, you would have done it, man. Go do what the man, what do you have to lose? You're about to be ostracized from your family and from society. You're about to lose all of the glory, all of the prestige, all of the honor. You have a condition that is going to kill you. And so Naaman, I'm sure reluctantly, lays his pride aside. Thank God for people that are getting in your face telling you to lay your pride aside. I mean, some of y'all, you know, still going 0 to 100 and doing all that stuff and thinking, I mean, thank God you got somebody to be in front of you like, hey, big dog, hey, mama. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't nothing good out there in those streets. Please, just go to group today. Please. Like, they didn't ask you to, like, you know, go move rocks or, you know, something wild, like just de-escalate. Thank God for you that are peacemakers. I mean, I am very hot-headed, okay? Thank God for people in my life that are like, please, man, dial that back. Don't let your mouth write a check that your butt can't cash, right? And this is ultimately, there's a saying in recovery that says you can't save your face and your butt at the same time. Thank you for the replacement word there. And you can't save your face and your butt at the same time. That's what's going on here with Naaman. Naaman's the war hero of saying, hey, I wanted the guy to come out and, you know, wave his wand on me. And, you know, like he has this expectation of how it's going to work. Like, dude, I want the message to come out one time. I want God to meet me. I want tears. I want to be transformed. I don't ever want to think about dope again. Well, good luck with that. You know, and I love that. And I think that's possible that God does that at times. But I will tell you that the closest that I've ever come to getting high was just a few weeks before I opened Good Landing Recovery at 4 years clean. So, you know, put that in your theological, doctrinal, whatever, and try to reconcile that. I don't know. And he took the guy that was about to get high, knew all the dumb stuff that I was going to do at 7 or 8 years, and still entrusted me with the largest treatment center. So if you find yourself struggling like that, I mean, I'd say that you're in pretty decent company. So know that you can struggle and you can have all those things, but you also have to understand that there is going to be a process. There's going to be a process that you're going to have to fall in love with, and it is going to challenge you to do those things that you're learning. I don't care what you say. Like, you're going to have to pick up the phone and call somebody. I don't care how Lone Ranger that you think you are, how isolated, I don't need nobody, I don't need this, I don't talk about this. Yeah, you need to. Talking about, like, because what goes on up here is insane. Insane, the stuff that we can come up with here, you know, of like, you know, you're I mean, for you to sit there right now tonight and be like, you know what, I don't need this stuff anymore. I want to go back out there and get high and whatever it might be. You need, if you say that out loud and your roommate has any sense whatsoever, and they're going to remind you of the hell that waits out there for you. And you need people like that. And you need to express whatever you're going through so that you don't make the dumb mistakes, right? All right. So long story short, he goes to the Jordan River. I've been there 3 times. It's not necessarily, I wouldn't call it a gross river. When I've been there, the rivers kind of had this kind of like aqua green to it. I thought it was kind of cool, but whatever. I was baptized in it. But Naaman here was clearly too good for it. But he goes reluctantly and gets in there. And you have to realize this guy's got to become totally vulnerable. He has to take off all of his army stuff and all of his, you know, the stuff that he kind of is part of his identity that he takes away and goes out there and gets in this Jordan River. And then in front of him and God and all of his friends has to dip underwater, right, to go under. And it's not one time, he has to do it 7 times. I mean, so you can just imagine, right? Like you're going down and like you're like, okay, I'm coming up at 3. Maybe there's going to be a partial healing, or you're just seeing something. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You're going down, up, like nothing is happening. This is like this is embarrassing, right? I mean, you just imagine that you're sitting there as a general and all these people that work for you that are underneath your authority, and you're there exposing your leprosy, being that vulnerable, going underwater, up, down, up, down, up, down, and nothing is happening. Goes down on time 6, comes back up, nothing, it's still there, and then does what the guy says, even though he thinks it's crazy, and goes down a 7th time and comes up, and the leprosy is gone. And the leprosy is gone. And what that shows right there is how much humility is tied to your healing. Humility doesn't mean you got to feel it. He probably didn't even have a smile on his face, but he did it. But he did what was asked of him, whether he felt like it or he didn't. And thank God that he had somebody there that would stop him and say, hey man, chill out a little bit. Let's go and do. What else do you have to lose? What else do you have to lose, man? You've done everything. You've switched from meth to opioids. You've switched from vodka back to wine coolers. You've done, you know what I'm saying? You've done every combination and potion. You're like, oh man, well, you know what? I couldn't do the meth the first time because I didn't have the Xanax, and this time I got the Xanax and the meth. Clearly, I got something to offset the nerves. It's going to be right. No, it's not. It is not. It's not. And I wish that I could get up here tonight and tell you that that would work. I could just tell you the one little thing that you were missing so that you could still go successfully get high. I'd be out there doing it. But it doesn't work. This is the thing that you have not tried. This is the process that leads to healing. And you've got this amazing opportunity that God has given you on a silver platter. Once again, he's come to you and he's put it up and serving it up to you and saying, man, this is the way out. This is the way out. And it's a process that you're going to have to continue to go to. I've got to check my humility all the time. I mean, when my buddy called me today, he knows me. He knows me from active addiction. He knows me from recovery. He doesn't care what I run or what I've done with my life. And he just starts, putting his finger on the things that I need to take a look at right now. And I don't necessarily like that. But I know that I'm going to be better on the other side for allowing him to speak into my life. Because I don't want to go back. And I know that I'm susceptible to burning it down. Just like you should be fully aware of your bend to burn this thing all the way down to the ground, right? I mean, we have families that are here tonight, I know, that are so excited to see the light back in your eyes for the very first time, and they hadn't seen it in a decade. I know there's going to be tears tonight as moms and dads get back, sons and daughters, as spouses get you back. And it's powerful. It is an amazing, and we should celebrate that. And I tell people all the time, there is nothing that makes me feel richer in my life to know that we get to be a part of restoring loved ones back to their families. But at the same time, you can cross this finish line and still not understand these principles right here. So I want you to look at a story from several thousand years ago that still has the exact same principles that'll get you well today. I mean, they put that in there to show you that humility is the way that's going to lead you out. Pride would have led him back to Syria, and he would have died a leper. And that's it. I don't really know what else to give you other than there's a process here. There's a team of people that are around you. Use that team. Whenever we were in the military, the basic training rule was like, stay off their radar. You don't want them to know that you're there, or you don't want them to know that you are there. That's not how this works here. Yeah, you can cover up, not let anybody see anything, go in there, BS your therapy time, and move through this entire thing and graduate with everybody applauding, not knowing that you are as sick tonight as you were whenever you walked through that door. And if somehow you've skipped that, or because at the end of the day, man, like you can trick us. I mean, I'm good. I mean, if I get in front of you long enough, I mean, I'll probably be able to call it out. But you could navigate your way through this thing and cross the finish line and still not even be even remotely close to entering into the healing journey. And I would say that would be a failure. But I mean, it's not like you can trick us. Like, you're good at that. There's actually nobody better probably on planet Earth in manipulating people than us that are in this room right here. So you know how to do that. But for what? Unto what? Dude, this is your opportunity where you've got some of the best therapists. I mean, they got 8-9 years of education. I mean, you got psychiatric nurse practitioners, family nurse practitioners that love this, that take great pride in their job on making sure that you get exactly what you need. And they've got the experience of having a caseload. I mean, they've seen everything under the sun for years in this. And they are there at your disposal, and they are talking as a treatment team with your house managers, with op staff, with everybody to build. Do you understand that? Do you know how hard that is? Some of y'all like to go over there and get your stinking heart doctor to be in tune with, your whatever doctor, general, whatever, internal medicine, whatever. None of them communicate unless they're in the same system. You have these people in the same company that are, you can't go out and just find that. And you've got that in here at your disposal that are going to be looking at you, trying to put you back together again. What I need you to do is take your life seriously. Show up to therapy ready to talk, having thought about that. Show up to your medical appointments, having written down some of your symptoms and some of the things where you're sitting there like, this is your life. Dude, look at this stuff. When else are you going to get to reinvent yourself? You think you're going to do it whenever you get a job back there and you got 5 minutes that you're looking for, but before your kids go to bed? I mean, some of y'all are looking at this like it's like some God's judgment on your life. This is the gift of God on your life, whether you're a drug addict or you're somebody that's never seen a drug. To have that level to just be looking at your life, making sure that over the course of 90 days to get your meds right, to make sure that they've done the right interventions on you, that you've hit the right targets. Things that have been plaguing you your entire life. I mean, you're lucky to find a therapist that'll even take insurance once you get out of here because they hate dealing with them. And then the paperwork and the legwork falls on your back and becomes your burden. And here you don't think about any of that stuff. Plus a whole group full of people that are around you that have sat in these groups. That's why I hire all these people that came through this program. You understand that? I mean, that's why whenever you're sitting there like, this is hard and I'm ready to leave, and then somebody can pop up with, 6-9 months clean. It was like, I was just there. I was just there in that same situation. So you have got every single ingredient plus to be able to get well if you want to. Okay? So, worship team still here? So we're just going to do part of a song. I'm going to open these altars up every single week. When I'm up here and I'm speaking, they'll be open. So if the worship team is still here. And I don't have anything specific that I'm really going to emphasize on, but it's just a place of faith where if you want to come up and pray, and at the end of the day, man, this idea about Jesus and who he is, I know that most of y'all have already settled that. Like, you already know, and you're good with that decision that you've made. But I want you to understand how Number one, how much he loves you, how much that he cares about you, how he does forgive you, no matter what you've done, no matter how bad you've burned it down, how many people that you've abandoned, that he loves you and that he cares about you and that he forgives you, knows how to deal with all your crazy stuff. You know, it's this idea that he's this like big cosmic, old white dude with the beard up in the sky that like hates fun. Like it's the wildest thing, like the way that it gets sold, when in reality, he's the one that made you. Like he made you. He created you. Like this isn't like us being up here, like this isn't from some explosion. This isn't from just some wild, you would be so offended if I told you that millions of years ago that red and white paint formed, matter formed on like this cosmic rock and that it evolved into a Coke can. I mean, you'd be like, dude, you're the biggest idiot on planet Earth, right? But yet we'll just, there's no way. The painting is the proof that there was an artist, right? Creation is the proof that there was a creator, that he made you, and that he knows what's best for you. The word says that if you lack wisdom, ask God and he'll give it to you liberally. I want God's wisdom. I want the one that made me, that manufactured me, that made me. That's who I want to give direction to my life, to show me how to live and what to do and where to go. Because that's where it's going to make you, right? I mean, guys, if you had a brand new Ford F-150 out in the parking lot and the check engine light comes on, I mean, you're not going to drive it over to Chick-fil-A and try to figure out what's up with it. You want to go back to the certified Master Tech Ford mechanic to pull those codes. Repeat two. To pull those codes and figure out what's going on with that truck. You have a check engine light that is flashing in here right now. What we're doing up here, what these men, what these women are doing up here is realizing, man, I got a check engine light on and I desperately need God. God, pull these codes. Figure out why this light's flashing in my life. Figure out what's going on. Why do I have these relational issues? Why do I have all this turmoil in my life? Why do I have all this chaos in my life? He's the one that's going to show us the way out. He's the one. I am no perfect person. That is for sure. But I am grateful for a God who loves me, who forgives me, who corrects me, even at this stage in my life whenever I ought to know better at times. And continues to work all things together for good. All things, even this, even rehab. He's still doing that today, and he'll still do it in your life. So be encouraged. I know Jeff and Charlene are getting ready to come up and do graduations. It's been a good night. Y'all are getting ready to go into the weekend. Y'all are getting ready. I appreciate that. Y'all are getting ready to go into the weekend. Be your brother's keeper. Be your sister's keeper. Okay? Say the hard things. They might not like it in the moment, but they will thank you for it on the other side when they cross this finish line. And they're spending Christmas this year with their children because you didn't co-sign on something crazy. All right, we'll pray. Father, we love you. God, I thank you so much for tonight. I just thank you, God, for just the wonder of how you work and your presence. I thank you for Jesus. I thank you for the one that saved me and that saved so many others that are in here and pulled us out of the pit, out of the consequences of our own terrible decisions, God. And that forgave us and gave us another chance. May we never take that for granted. God, be with us tonight as we go. Guide us, direct us, Lord. Convict us, encourage us. Lord, and I just pray that everybody here would just have a fresh revelation of your love and your power and the reality of how much that you do love and how committed that you are to seeing us walk into real freedom. In Jesus' name, we love you, Lord. Amen. All right, you have a good weekend. Thanks. You good?
Man, thank you, Trey, for sharing that tonight, and just that powerful story of that can relate to the season that you're in right now. You know what I'm saying? It's just like that season of illness. You have an illness that needs washed away, and it's through surrender, humility, and Trey touched on the end there, accountability. Yes, that 4-letter word, accountability. Yep, it's uncomfortable at times, isn't it?